If they own a business, why am I not getting where I need to go? Why am I not seeing success? So much of it is the stories that we say to ourselves. It isn't about really the actual situation. It's the stories that we are saying to ourselves that can prevent us from moving forward.
Welcome to Growing Your Business with Buddy Broyles, helping businesses share their voice, build authority, and grow through meaningful conversations. So joining me today on the Growing Your Business podcast is my friend Jodie Wallace of 3D Perspectives. Jodie, thank you for joining me in the studio today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad we were able to schedule this, and it's long going. We've been talking about it for a while, but now, here we are.
Here we
So
are.
thank you for the opportunity.
So for those listening and watching, Jodie, tell me what you do and what sets you apart.
Okay. Well, I have a company called 3D Perspectives, and I've had this company for over 25 years. And basically what I am a business and life coach, but what I'm really known for is I'm a Master Neuro-Linguistic Practitioner. 3D Perspectives represents this. There's 3Ds in creating a life. Number one is discovery. And I go through a discovery phase with clients to understand where they are right now, and also where do they want to go. So that we have to, sort that out. The direction part is, when I work with people, they're either coming in to get healing. I am known as a healer because of the neuro-linguistic programming, which I'll explain later. But I'm also a strategist, and I also help people get from point A to point B. So the direction is, how do we get from where we are right now to where we want to go? That's the direction part. And then the final D is decision. In order to move in life, you have to decide to do it. If you don't decide to do it, then chances are you're going to stay where you are. And decision is also based on commitment. Am I committed to deciding that I want to change some aspect of my life or improve some aspect of my life? So that's where the 3D perspectives, because we have a perspective about where we are, and we want to expand on that perspective.
That makes
And
sense.
so the processes that I provide helps with that awareness and expansion of perspective.
Fantastic. What are the problems people, when you first consult, and discovery, what are the main issues people are dealing with today?
Well, today, a lot of different things. They feel, I get a lot of people who are frustrated. If they own a business, why am I not getting where I need to go? Why am I not seeing success? Why is there not a sense of, stability going on? And we sort out where that comes from. And so much of it is the stories that we say to ourselves. It isn't about really the actual situation. It's the stories that we are saying to ourselves that can prevent us from moving forward. And what I do is I help them sort out, well, what is this story? Why is this story so important to you that you feel like you need to hold on to it if it's not getting you where you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's a belief. And the belief, we all as human beings have beliefs. And beliefs are, they begin from basically the time of birth, but really, to be realistic, 2 years old up to 14. That is the time span that we make decisions about who we are based on our environment, our situations, and what have you, but we create a story about who we are. So when we have, all human beings do this, but we all have limiting beliefs. I don't care who you are, as long as you're breathing, we do have them because nobody is perfect. So a limiting belief, as an example, is I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Mistakes and failures are bad. What if I fail? What if I succeed? There's a whole litany of different belief structures. what I've been gifted, if you will, through a lot of training, and the woman who one of the founders of neuro-linguistic programming was also Christina Hall. Christina Hall worked with Bandler and Gringler and Erickson on developing this model, and those are the key people that developed it back in the 60s. And Christina Hall developed the language part. Because in neuro-linguistic, neuro means how your brain is wired. And from how your brain is wired, we take information in based on all of our senses, all of our five senses, and then we make meaning out of that. So we're making meaning machines every single second. And the L part is language. So when you listen to someone, they will speak the language based on how they feel, think, and believe. And Christina Hall, it was the master who developed the L, neuro-linguistic, the linguistic part of the process. And I had the fortunate opportunity of being trained by her. And it was a God thing, actually. But the bottom line is I've had my postmaster's training through her. And what sets me apart and why counselors and other coaches send me people to do the processes is that I have processes that they don't have. So even if somebody does have a degree in neuro-linguistic programming, that doesn't mean that they have all access to a lot of the processes. So I've had the opportunity to, she allowed us, there was about 40 of us, to have these processes and been trained exactly, how to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to get trained and say, okay, this is what I'm doing, da, 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 da. But it's another thing to be really clear about why you are using this process and how to use it effectively. So many counselors understand NLP, usually because when they go to counseling school, if you will, there is a brushstroke of what NLP is. And some people will advance and go further with their education, but others don't. But they understand the value of it. And so that's why I created, through 25 years of collaborations and things like that. That's why I have many counselors that will send me people and they'll contact me, and they cannot tell me what's going on with their sessions, but they will say, I need for you to do an internal conflict resolution, or I need for you to do a trauma release. But I don't, I just do the process.
Yeah.
And then they go back to their counselor. But there's other coaches that understand NLP who've not been trained, or maybe they did a little brushstroke of it, but they know that I have really dived into this and that I get results. Yeah. And there's a trust factor here too. So I am very grounded spiritually. I'm a Christian and I'm grounded spiritually, and I will not do or work with someone that I'm not called to do.
Interesting.
And I do know how to discern that. Also, what sets me apart, that a lot of practitioners, it's just a unique way I do things. When I meet with a client, I always do a discovery session that's complimentary. But I find out where they're at and what's preventing them from moving forward and how will they know they got the results. So I have a scale system. So when they come in and have a session, we sort out at the end, how will they know they got value for their time today? And then towards the end, I ask scale 1 to 5, 5 meaning you said you wanted to walk out confident, having more confidence. From a scale 1 to 5, 5 meaning that you have confidence, where are you? And it'll be a 5. But if it's a 4, then I ask them, what needs to be in place for you to know that it's a 5? So I'm listening to what they say. And then based on what they say, then I continue working with them at that session, reasonably speaking.
Sure.
To where when they walk out, they are a 5 or close to it. If it's something I need to continue to work and I need another session, I will be telling them that. But also, the other reason why I have to do what the Lord's calling me to do is because some people will walk in and I have no business working with them because they actually need a counselor
Right.
or they actually need, maybe a spiritual director or, different types. I am not called to work with everybody, but the ones that I work with, I do have an impact on them for as long as I'm supposed to. So I'm not attached to this idea they got to do 12 sessions or they may only have one session. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is that when they leave, they said, I am glad I did this today. Not like, why did I do this today?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
And that's really what sets me apart because I'm not attached to anything. I'm only doing what I'm called to do.
Everyone loves a story.
Mhm.
So your experience with some of the people you've helped,
Mhm.
and as in, just give me it's a every man, every woman type situation, but the commonalities of the
Mhm.
people you've helped, and how did you take them from walking in the door, starting the
Mhm.
discovery, and how are they doing now?
Okay. Well, that's okay. So, geez, there's a lot of
I'm
stories here,
sure it's so many
but
stories.
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll do something that's what I would consider maybe common for me,
Okay.
which is, somebody comes in. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Sure. Makes sense.
That just, I've always been a networker since 1984. So I work with a lot of small businesses. So they'll come in and they'll say, I find myself procrastinating and I don't know how to stop procrastinating. I know what I need to do, but why am I not doing it? So what I do is I find out, well, what is the fear underlying, because there is a fear underlying the cause of the procrastination. And once I get to that belief, then I could do something as simple. And I do this with almost everybody. It's an internal conflict resolution because part of you says, yes, I want to be successful. The other part says, no. Okay. Well, we can't just decide I'm going to do this because the subconscious runs the show. So instead of one side being right and one side being wrong, the internal conflict resolution is designed to find out what is the positive benefit and purpose that each side is to provide. So let's say bottom line is safety. And when one side says it's safety, I get to the other place where the other side is also feels safe. So they both have the same purpose, but in a different context. So then what I do is to make it an internal conflict resolution where they both are working together, I actually have each one appreciate the other and its
Interesting.
usefulness.
Yeah.
And they do. They feel, well, sure, I appreciate that. Sure, I appreciate that. And then I ask, are you willing to come together, create something new, but something that will still accomplish both of your functions? Not one or not the other, but both. And of course, they would like that, or we get to that point. So I have them come together and create something new. And it's a whole little fun thing I do there. But at the end, I say, okay, what is the new gift, purpose, or benefit you're here now to provide moving forward? And the new gift or purpose could be peace. It could be courage. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's something that they agreed on.
Yeah.
And then I integrate that into their system. And then I give them some homework. So let's say they said, okay, it's peace. Okay. So what is one step that you can take towards the goal you actually want where you feel peaceful about it? So the one step is I am going to map out my week of what I would like to do. Okay. Do you feel peaceful about that? Yes. What is the second step that you can take? They said, well, I need to, say, make some phone calls. Okay. How many do you feel peaceful to make? That you feel comfortable? And the subconscious and the conscious will say, oh, I can do 5. And I said, okay. So now what I would like for you to do is make one phone call.
Hmm.
So I said, I'm going to step aside. I'm going to make a pot of coffee for us. You make that phone call. They make the phone call. And then I come back and I said, how do you feel now? Well, I felt very calm. It felt very peaceful. And what was the outcome? And then they tell me. I said, now, from a scale of 1 to 5, can you make the next 4 calls by the end of the day or whenever we decide? And they said, absolutely. I said, okay. So what I'd like for you to do is for you to contact me through a text or however that you did this. If you feel that you're uncomfortable or stuck, I want you to call me. Because part of what they invest when they work with me is that I'm a resource for them between now and their next session. And then that way they know that if they get stuck, all they have to do is send me a text and I speak with them for 5 or 10 minutes. I don't do a whole hour or anything, but I normally 100% of the time can get them off that train that they think they want to visit here. And so that's how it works.
Yeah.
But then they start creating evidence of their success. So I have them do an evidence journal. So every time they make a phone call, they write down the date, who they called, and how they felt afterwards. Something like that, or maybe even what they said. And they start building this evidence because when you have an evidence journal, is what I call it, of I peacefully made these phone calls, I feel confident, and now I have a new client or something like that. That is evidence that what we did is moving them forward. And the subconscious says, well, if I could do that, I certainly can do this next.
Right.
Instead of just keeping it in your mind, you actually write it down. And that's what makes me different. Now, let's say I work with someone for 3 or 4 or 5 sessions and they're really doing well. Instead of saying, okay, I need to see you like next week, let's pretend I was working with them, every week, which now it's usually every other week. I say, I want you to go live. I want you to live for 2 months and use these resources, and then we're going to come back. But in the meantime, if you get in a situation where you just feel like I want to see you sooner, we'll discern that. So the point is, I'm only going to provide what is going to be their best interest, not my best interest. Because, sure, as a business owner, I could say, well, I need to see you, 3 times a month or something. But in reality, that may not be for that person. So everybody's unique. So what you may need and what somebody else may need are 2 different stories.
True.
I only do what's best for you. I have worked with people where I said, you know what? From a scale of 1 to 5, do you believe that you have what you need to continue on your own? And they said, okay, yes. I said, okay, let's do it. But let's check in just to see how you're doing. So maybe a couple, 3 months later, I'll reach out and I'll say, hey, Susie Q, how are you doing? What's going on? Tell me your advances. Tell me your celebrations, things like that. So we have a conversation because I do stay in touch with everybody. But I say, well, how do you feel like you need anything else at this time? You don't have to, but I'm just double checking. And they'll say, well, I really would like to work on this next. I go, okay, fair enough. Now, sometimes they'll contact me regardless, but the point is I just don't do the service and say, okay, goodbye. I always do the best I can to stay in touch with everybody. And sure, some people have moved on,
Sure.
But the point is, here's my real reason for doing this business, especially now. I'm 60, I'm going to be 69 next week. I don't have to work. I choose to work because I'm called to work and help people. And all I care about is doing what this is like a ministry for me.
Yeah.
It really is. It's nothing more. I'm a healer. And if I pass on tomorrow, all I care about is the Lord saying, good job, daughter.
Nice.
That's it. That is my criteria. That is my bottom line. It's not about money. It never has been. And some coaches get a little upset with me because ideally I'm supposed to charge $3.25 an hour. And I do in corporate America,
Yeah.
Because I do some executive
Different scale
coaching.
for different needs.
But I don't care about that. I charge what I feel is fair and appropriate, but I'm not trying to compete with other coaches.
Right.
Everybody's got their lane. They stay in their own. I'm in my lane because I'm really become a healer.
Ready to amplify your brand's voice? At Blue Mike Studios, we transform your ideas into captivating podcasts and videos. Whether you're launching your own show or guest starring on ours, we've got you covered. From recording and editing to social media promotion. With state-of-the-art 4K video and crystal clear audio, your content will shine. We offer guest packages on our podcasts and offer segments from the show for you to share. Or let us help you build your own branded podcast with custom strategy, branding, and full production support. Visit BlueMikeStudios.com today and let your voice be heard. I found that people that do what you do, and other businesses as well, a universal truth, if you're doing it right, is you're not competing.
Not at all.
What you're trying to do is find the best fit for both you, which you've got a process for that, and for them, because the best decision people can make is not teaming up with someone who isn't their people, that they can't truly help or can't be helped by.
Well, yeah,
right?
because you're not affecting them in a positive way. And I just feel too that when I do work with somebody and I realize I'm not their coach, I offer other suggestions for them.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, everybody's got their specialty. And I can't be for all things. Nobody can. So say that I can do this, I may be able to do a little bit of everything. But at the end of the day, I want what's best for them so that they can excel in their life. And that's it. That's my bottom line. That's all I'm interested in. And if the Lord says, okay, you're done with this now, then I'll be done with it.
You mentioned something earlier that I think there's real value in. Obviously, you do too, because that's why you recommend it, is journaling, tracking data, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of us will omit, and this is a natural thing where most people do this, is where you only remember those moments where you said the wrong thing, you did the wrong thing, but you don't track and celebrate for yourself, which is probably an order of magnitude larger of the times you got it right. You helped somebody, you said something right, you said something good. We don't celebrate those for ourselves unless, part of what you do is get us to track, write it down, right? Because then that's the evidence, that's the support that you have.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the importance of that portion of journaling and tracking.
Well, you hit a lot of it right on the nail head. When you track it, again, you're recognizing a pattern. And it creates a possible aha moment for somebody. And that aha moment is an anchoring of the subconscious. I have people celebrate even the smallest of things. I say, I don't care if you go buy bubble gum and blow bubbles all day. It doesn't matter what you do, but do something to celebrate that win. Because when you celebrate it, you're anchoring the subconscious as if it's already occurred, has occurred. And now, therefore, when I go forward, because I've already done this, I certainly can do that. And when that's an anchoring technique. And so celebration, Mel Robbins has a great technique. You give a high five. You don't give a high five if you haven't done something great, right? To anybody. But I have my clients actually look in the mirror, there's a Mel Robbins technique, and give yourself a high five. High five, I made 3 phone calls that were challenging, but I did it. So nothing is less than. And if you let go of making a belief that, well, that was just this, but actually acknowledge it and celebrate it, then the subconscious will keep you moving forward easier because that's running the show.
Yeah.
If it was just our conscious mind, we'd be doing stuff a long time ago, but because we all know a lot of things and we all, we have positive attitude today, but what about tomorrow? Something happens and then all of a sudden our attitude, no, it can't be just based on consciousness. It's got to be subconscious. And then it'll cooperate with the conscious mind because the conscious mind will say, okay, well, then, yeah, I can see that now. But if it went the other way around, you're not going to get well. You'll get somewhere, but
It's like
it
a
won't
rock.
be
Yeah.
consistent. And the last thing I'll say about all this is what I'm really developing is a lifestyle.
Mm.
I'm not just doing a bunch of goals and, like I have a vision board process that I do every year. It's not just cutting and pasting a bunch of pictures on a board and saying, go get it. It's a methodology that I provide. And what it does is it lines you up mind, ego, heart, and spirit. Because if one part of you is not in agreement, it'll be a conflict. So in the process that I do, that's exactly why my vision board workshops I've been doing them for like 22 years, and I have people keep coming every year because they said, whatever that was, it works. And when they go away and do something else, they always come back
Interesting.
because it's about a lifestyle. It's not about a bunch of things to do.
It's a mind, ego, heart, and spirit. And I just
Yes.
rewrote it because I'm an acronym
All
person.
congruent.
It's like I rewrote it as mesh. It's like
Mhm.
a web. It's mind, ego, spirit, and heart.
Exactly.
But I'm sure that's part of your system. Let's talk about people are listening and watching.
Mhm.
What's the best way to reach you? How do you like to be reached?
Well, honestly, a text is wonderful.
Really? Okay.
Because I do check my emails, don't get me wrong, but I only check them maybe twice a day, morning and before like around 5. But if they text me, which I really appreciate that because they say who they are, they'd like to speak to me or whatever. Then I get right back with them as soon as
Yeah.
I'm either done with a client or whatever I'm doing. But I return their
It's easy to return a text.
yes.
Yeah.
And then we, set up a time to talk or whatever. But that would probably be the best
Excellent.
way. And if they're on social media and they send me a private message like on LinkedIn or Facebook and they say who they are and they're interested in this, I reach out to them too because I do check my social media. I'm not on it all day. This is the truth about my social media. I post every morning. And then I have some Tuesday testimonial day and Thursday some kind of quote. But I go in, I take care of that. I check all the birthdays. I check to see if anybody's, and then I'm done.
Yeah. That's it for social media that day.
That's it. And I'll check, before maybe I finish work or early evening just to make sure, is everything okay with the family? Is everything, just to see. But I do not get. I don't get in there.
I think everybody listening and watching can agree that social media can waste a lot of time real fast.
Yeah,
It's almost like a time warp you get sucked into.
And you get caught up in all kinds of crazy stories.
Yeah. Well, and just for those watching and listening, Jodie can be found. All the different ways to reach you are in the show notes. So if you scroll down whichever platform you're consuming on those, and we'll keep those updated for you so you can reach out to her. And I think it was really important the instruction you gave. Let her know who you are, what you need. That type. Just give a quick introduction to yourself, and that will warrant a better response than just hey.
You know what else I'd like to add?
Yeah.
I would like to add that the reason why they're contacting me is because they heard this podcast. So mention the podcast.
Well, thank you very much.
know?
Yeah, I hope
And because we like to celebrate that we're making a difference out there.
Agreed.
So, say I heard Buddy's, podcast and I, was compelled to contact you and we'll celebrate that.
That sounds wonderful. Well, parting thoughts for those who they're listening or they're watching on YouTube and they're just thinking, I don't know. It's self-doubt that's preventing them from reaching out.
Well, I'll tell you what you do. I do a discovery session and it's totally free. There's there's absolutely no obligation. It's normally 30 minutes, but sometimes I spend more with each and whoever's reaching out to me. But just explore it. We'll explore it together and see if this is something, whether it's me or somebody else, because it's not. I'm not, there's no pressure. That's not what this is designed for. It's designed to explore this is an option. There's many options out there, but explore what coaching or NLP could do for you and, sit on it for a little bit. but you have absolutely nothing to lose because you will not hear me say, "Well, I think you should." Let me throw out some packages. You're not gonna hear that from me. What I will say is, what do you think? How do you feel about what you experienced today? And whatever you say is fine. And if we were to move forward, how would you like that to look? Because they could say, "Well, can I get back with you?" Absolutely. Enough said. Or if they say, "Well, let me think about it, but could you reach out to me in a couple weeks?" Absolutely. And I might say something like, "Would you like me to reach out, say, a couple, 3 weeks from now?" And if your answer is no, I perfectly respect that. But make sure they are really comfortable from the very beginning, but they walk away with a tool, a tip, or something that can benefit them. And again, there's absolutely nothing to lose, but they're not going to feel any pressure from me at all.
Wonderful.
And that's a definite.
Excellent.
Because if we're meant to work together, it'll all fall into
It'll make
place anyway.
sense. Yep. Wonderful.
But I don't have to pressure anybody or do none of that stuff.
Right. Nobody wants that.
No.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Well, Jodie, thank you for coming in today and just
Yes.
sharing your vast expertise and your passion for what you do on the show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad we got to do this.